Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to the All Balls Sports Show. Brought to you in part by True Love's Pizza and Grits at 1144 Riverside Drive. A discussion of any and all sports, local, regional, and national. And now, here are your hosts, Dan James, Eddie Bobo, Ty Cobb, and the coach, Vance Ballou.
Thank you, Bill Jones, and welcome to the All the Ball Sports Show for this Tuesday evening. Man, do we have a lot of stuff to talk about, Ty Cobb.
We have a lot to talk about in an hour.
Yeah, we do. And Eddie Bobo, we're going to talk about Tennessee.
Oh good. I'm ready.
We got 59 minutes and 30 seconds.
Exactly. We got plenty to talk about. And Chris Poynter is here. He's the athletic director for Maury County Public Schools. And Chris, good to have you on. And
appreciate you having me.
Got a great big deal coming up on Friday night. We've been talking about this for the past 2-3 weeks. The big Parks Motor Sales Backyard Bowl.
Yeah, so we're excited about it. When I first took on the job, I think this is one of the first things that was kind of on my desk when I came in, and it was the Spring Hill versus Central game, and it was circled, and it said, hey, it needs a name, it needs sponsorship. So just the kind of mindset that I had, I just kind of took out running with it. And one of the first calls I made was down there to Robert Rogers with Parks Motors and painted him the idea and showed him the vision, and he jumped all over it. And we're truly grateful, Maury County Public Schools, for that, and his willingness to kind of step up as the title sponsor for the event.
In addition to being businessman, Robert Rogers is going to go down as being a philanthropist because he's sponsored the scoreboard at Columbia Central at Lindsey Nelson Stadium, sponsored the scoreboard at Spring Hill, and is involved in every sporting activity in this area for Maury County. And we appreciate what Robert Rogers does.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He was even part of the summit stuff up there, too.
Yes, he was.
So, yeah, Robert's very active in the community. His parents live beside me. They're my neighbors, and Robert is also in Kiwanis with me, but he's always involved and very supportive of the community. And I'm sure all you did was have to make a phone call to him, and he was on board.
Yeah, and I wanted to make sure that we gave him the best bang for his buck, and I think you will see Parks Motors lit up in lights on Friday, from everything to advertisement on the field to the trucks around the field to tents to
parking cars. I'll be parking cars.
Yeah, so
whatever
you can think of, we're going to make sure that Parks Motors is thanked and is well represented on that evening.
Okay, let's make sure that we get this out to all the people who may be watching our show or listening at some point. Parking is going to be different on Friday night because the area in behind
Smokey the Bear House.
the log house. For those of you who don't remember the Smokey the Bear House, but behind the log house is going to be taken up with the Coca-Cola tailgate.
Yeah, so the Coca-Cola pregame tailgate will take up all of that area behind the log cabin. So we'll have 8 or 9 inflatables for kids and adults. Yes, adults. I'm encouraging adults to get in there and have fun. And then we'll have 2 food vendors from locally here. And I was mentioning to you earlier, we'll also have the funnel cakes and the snow cones coming from Mr. Quan West.
Funnel cakes.
I'm in. I might not.
I'm coming out of the press box for funnel cakes.
Yeah, come on out. So really, it's a community event. We want the entire community to come out and have a good time. We just want to highlight Maury County Public School athletics and band, and I want to stress the band piece of it because if you go and talk to anybody, 90% of the people you talk to have a direct connection back to athletics or band in some capacity. And so if we have that many people that are tied to these 2 particular entities, then how can we elevate it and be the very best that we can be? And so this game is really to kind of highlight that at a level that we've never seen before.
Well, it's going to be a Chick-fil-A halftime show.
Yes.
I get to announce that. The Chick-fil-A halftime show.
Yeah, so Caleb Mathis was actually the second call that I made. So I remember texting him. I think I hit him on Facebook because I didn't have his direct phone line. I said, man, I need to talk to you right now. He said, oh, okay, call me. I said, are you at the store? He's like, yeah. So I went up there. We sat down for like 5 or 10 minutes, man. And he was like, I'm sold, Chris, you got me. Whatever you need us to do, we'll do. We want to get more involved. How we can make that happen, we can. And so just like Parks, they're stepping up for the halftime show. So we'll make sure that Chick-fil-A is lit up in lights, and they get all the publicity and marketing that they can possibly stand. They're going to be shooting T-shirts in the stands, gift cards. We'll have a cow out there, not a real cow, but a cow dressed up in a costume. We're just gonna have a good time.
Well, Chris, I was hoping to see the cows parachute in like they did.
I made a few phone calls. That was a little bit outside of my budget. So give me about 5 years and I might be able to make that happen. But trust me, it was on the list. It was on the list. I kind of drilled Caleb on what they could or could not do, or what they could leverage out of the Atlanta office. And yeah. Cows is a little bit out of our budget.
Real cows.
Yeah, real cows. Real cows that will be grazing once they land.
All right, let's talk about there's an opportunity for somebody to win a lease on a vehicle and also win a pickup truck.
Well, no, it's just a lease on the pickup truck.
Oh, is it just a lease on
just
the pickup
truck?
Just a lease,
yeah.
Okay.
So it's a chance to win a brand new GMC Sierra truck, a 2-year lease. All you got to do is show proof of insurance and put gas in it, and you got to have a quarterback arm. So I would suggest everybody that's out there listening, warm up your quarterback arm. If you ever said, hey, I could throw better than that quarterback, here's your chance. Here's your chance. Under the bright lights with a Nerf football, not even a real football, a Nerf football.
But I've seen it in the past where somebody who has not ever kicked before as a kicker got into the back of a pickup truck once.
Well, I mean, that's a possibility.
I mean, you don't necessarily have to have a quarterback
If
arm.
it's meant to be, it will be. And I hope, man, under the bright lights with all those people, somebody walks away with that truck. Because just think about how electrifying that would be just for that game for somebody to win that truck. So we're excited about it. That's another thing. I mean, Robert called me. He's like, man, I got this idea. I'm super excited about this game. And this is what we're going to do. So, 3 people can walk away with one, 2 people, or one person, or no one. But yeah, we are definitely excited. So I'm encouraging everybody to put their name in the hat.
Wonder if our clown's listening. Remember the clown that come on the field?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
And he threw one of them small plastic footballs from down on the field and hit the window in the press box.
Yeah.
With it.
I looked at Eddie. I said, we need to sign that guy up.
Had a cannon. Huh?
Yeah, he had a cannon.
Yeah, and he also left
a little DNA on the fence.
DNA evidence on the fence as he went over. So, yeah, that was a long time ago. Haven't remembered about the clown in quite some time. We don't need any kind of shenanigans like that on Friday night.
Nah, we just need a good, clean game. Yep. We need both teams. I really feel this way. Anytime you put kids in this type of incubator of an environment in front of that many people, their play is going to be elevated. So it's going to really, truly show, personalities. It's going to test both teams. It's going to test both coaches, and that's a good environment to be in. And I think by elevating our level of play under the bright lights like that is only going to help athletics in general across the entire district. Because you want to play your very best.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think I said on the flyer, I think it was, an evening to play, a lifetime to remember. And they will not forget this game. The fans won't forget it. Parents won't forget it. The members of the band who's playing out there with Serena Joy, they won't forget it. So everybody wants to elevate their level of performance on that night.
And Serena Joy, graduate of Columbia Central, and she was a finalist in the American Idol. And
yes,
we appreciate everything that she's doing.
Look
who's here, ladies and gentlemen. It would be Maurice Patton, Columbia Daily Herald.
Had to make an entrance.
Well, sure.
You made it.
Not a problem. Glad to have you.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, good to have you.
Thank you.
We're just sitting here talking about the game on Friday night with Columbia Central and Spring Hill Raiders.
The inaugural Backyard Bowl.
Yes,
absolutely.
There will actually be an article in tomorrow's paper on that. That's part of the reason I'm
here.
Tardy.
Oh. Part of the reason you're not here on time.
Exactly. Yeah, but no, I apologize for coming in on the tail end or in the middle, but
no, that's
Chris and I spoke over the weekend, and you've done a great job with that thing.
Hey, I appreciate it. I'm not really taking any credit for it, other than I just piggybacked on what was currently existing. I mean, both teams hadn't played in 3-4 years or whatever it's been, and I think the timing was right. And the community is looking forward to something like this. I think this is an event where, I've heard a lot of people say I haven't been to a football game in all year. I haven't been to a football game in I can't tell you how long, but I'm bringing my whole family out to this, bringing my whole family out for this. So if the experience is right, then hopefully we can continue to reel them into more and more events. And so, I thank God for the opportunity. Blessed to kind of link in with Maury County Public Schools and athletics in the way that we're linking into it. And I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the support. Appreciate the opportunity, just like on today, just to be able to talk about it.
Sure.
You know, things like falling in place, like it being on My TV 30. I mean, when you looked at their schedule, there was a game slot that was available for that day. Coach Vance Ballou made a few phone calls and made that happen. You know, the whole thing with the Titans, they kind of got, you know, the game of the week. You know, we're leading right now. So we need to keep the lead so that we can maintain the game of the week. That's huge.
That is huge because I'm interrupting you.
No, you're fine.
But
You're fine. Go ahead.
that's huge because once that game becomes a game of the week,
Mm-hmm.
then the winner of that game, their coach, goes into the Titans High School Coach of the Year running along with the other winning coaches from their games of the week over the course of the season, which comes with a monetary.
Yeah, so the winning team's coach will get a $1,000 scholarship, which they can use from there towards their team. And we all know how hard it is to fundraise. $1,000 would definitely go a long way for either team.
I can tell you, and I'm trying to find it right here because, here it is. Keeley Farmer put it on Facebook a while ago. Columbia Central is now sitting at 39.92% in the voting. And the other guys aren't. So, I mean, we're supporting Columbia Central. We are.
Yes.
All of us guys sitting here.
Absolutely.
You can't because you have to ride the fence.
Right.
Even though you are a Columbia Central graduate.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, because you're the athletic director for Maury County Schools, you have to ride the fence.
Yeah.
He's not a graduate of Maury County. He's not a graduate of Maury County, but we are.
Sure.
So we're at 39%. The other guys aren't.
Yeah, we're from the
keep
Stone
voting.
Age.
Yes, everybody keep voting for the game of the week.
Vote early and often, as I say in Chicago.
Yes, vote early, vote often, and you get one vote a day. So a lot of people are saying, "Hey, it allows me to keep voting, but I don't see my vote tallied every time." Well, you can use multiple different streams of devices, but you can only use that device once a day. So those are the two things. And then also tomorrow, tickets do go on sale. Tickets go on sale tomorrow starting at 9 o'clock. You can get it from 9 to 2 at both Central High School and Spring Hill. You can do it again on Thursday, but Friday the tickets are only sale from 9 to 12.
I know at our meeting last week, Vance had a huge roll of tickets.
Huge roll, which is a good sign. And we want everybody to flood the schools and get tickets early because it's going to make everybody's life simpler if you get your tickets early versus later. It's just going to make everything.
So what you're saying is Vance doesn't need to have a huge roll come Friday then, right?
Yeah, it needs to be almost
He needs
empty.
to have none.
You don't have to have anything. We need to have a close count on what we're looking at to start the game on Friday.
Now keep this in mind. The people who do have reserved seat tickets are going to keep their reserved seat tickets,
Absolutely.
correct?
That is correct.
Right.
That,
so you'll
everything
be
is the same.
sitting everywhere else. But
Yeah, everything stays the same. This is a regular game that we've added a lot of elements to. But if you're a season ticket holder, that doesn't change. If you have a season pass to park, that doesn't change. Now, the parking for everybody else who does not have that will change.
Let's describe that parking situation, Chris, that we discussed the other night and how this is going to change with the Kiwanis.
So the Kiwanis Club, I talked to the head, Ron Sellers, who's kind of over parking, and city manager Tony Massey actually going to be taking the lead on Friday. But there's going to be one flow of traffic in until after the line walk, and then you got two flows of traffic in, and then there's going to be very difficulty getting out until the end of the game, which is going to be a flow of traffic out of the park so that we can keep the momentum going. So the parking, let's just say, is going to be really interesting. But because of how we have it set up with the one-way in, will make life a little
Now, Chris,
easier.
you're not giving us details. You're just saying it's going to be difficult, and then we got to straighten this out.
He didn't
I
say
said difficult. I said
interesting.
Yeah, from what I heard in the meeting the other day, it's going to be difficult. But anyway,
It's probably, hey,
no, they're going to go in. Now they're going to go in like you go in for the horse show, and then they're going to go around the back.
No, we're not going around the back anymore. We're coming straight through to the fence right beside the Senior Citizens Building. So we're going to go right in the gate by the Senior Citizens, because we had to do that so that we could.
Then it is going to be interesting.
Yeah, so just interesting, not difficult. So we don't have to go all the way up to Kids Kingdom and come back around type craziness.
Good.
But yeah, we're just going to go one straight shot into the Senior Citizen Center and then park
that makes more sense.
Park into the park by the old softball field.
I just want to know
We
where
figured
the
that out
media
about
parks.
30 minutes later after you left out.
You're back there with me.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, you talking about with the passes and back?
Yeah, you're back there with me.
It's
Don't
still
worry
easy.
about that.
Yeah.
All right.
You're up there with us anyway.
Well,
so.
I figure if I get there early enough, it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, and
anyway.
the best thing is, I mean, the weather's looking great for Friday.
It is.
It's looking even better now for Thursday, which is even better for parking because we got all this parking space and it's all on grass.
Mm-hmm.
So that's even better. So everything's looking like it's all coming together. So for a phenomenal event, we're just going to keep pushing it and promoting and pushing it out there so that everybody comes out.
Coca-Cola,
Yes,
Chick-fil-A,
absolutely.
Parks Motor Sales,
Yes, sir.
and Robert Rogers especially for what he's doing. So thank you guys. This is going to be a big time.
It is. It's going to be an exciting event. I mean, we're trying to push record numbers at the event. You know, I've kind of gotten some laughs about the 10,000 people, but the way that I look at it, if you look at the largest sporting event that's probably ever taken place, it's the Lady Vol softball game, right? And you take this element of high school football under the bright lights, Central Spring Hill, both 4-1. You've seen the crowds that have been at Central football games, and if you've ever seen this crowds that have been at CA games, and you put them all together, plus all the people who haven't been in the football game
Because
in the last
CA's
50
not
years.
playing Friday night.
CA's not playing Friday night, and Mount Pleasant is. If Mount Pleasant hadn't been playing either, we really would have been pushing the scale on some serious numbers. But to put that many people in that stadium and it's never seen that many people at one time, it's just a phenomenal experience for a kid. Just to be a kid at 17 or 18 years old right now, to be able to walk out of the tunnel
And know what I know now.
and to be able to see all that, or to be the band and walk out on the field and just see all of those fans and everybody looking at you or cheering you on or even rooting against you if you're the opposing team. But, I mean, that's just an awesome experience and feeling that they'll take with them forever.
Now, don't get upset with your PA announcer when he does not introduce the band the way he normally does at 7 o'clock because kickoff's not till 7:06.
Right.
So because of TV.
Because of TV, yeah,
So,
7:06. Yeah.
You know, it's been 3 or 4 years since we've had TV out there, so everybody just cool your jets.
Yeah, so we got to make
Don't
sure
come pointing at me.
Right,
and
we got to
saying
make
stuff.
sure that Maurice is out there, got somebody out there on the field at least to capture the picture of the captains doing the coin flip, because we're going to have both mayors walk out on the field and hopefully have the jerseys on as well.
What we will do is send you out there with a microphone, and we'll send you out there as they're doing the coin flip, and we'll just do that through the PA system.
Which would be kind of cool.
That'd be kind of neat.
Yeah, to have both mayors kind of locked arms with their teams.
Because what I'll do is I'll just send it down to you. I'll say we're going to Chris Poynter down on the field for the coin toss.
There you go.
Yeah.
And we'll have we got 2 photographers coming, so we'll have you covered.
Yeah, that'll be awesome, man. The memories that'll be captured as a result of the game.
Don't worry, buddy. I'll take care of you.
Oh, you always do. Man. I'm not worried about it. You know me since I was in kindergarten.
Let me tell you about Chris Poynter. I've taken him home more times where he lived than I can imagine. I can even count on both hands and feet.
Yeah.
One time I took him home, which is the one time that I met Enoch George when he was working for the Columbia Police Department. And I backed out of your driveway with a ladder on the back of my truck, and I hit this lady's car, and it went all the way down her car. Well, he didn't charge me with anything. He said, hey, it's an accident. You know, you had this ladder sticking 12 feet out the back of your truck. He says you couldn't possibly see her. And Enoch was very nice, and I was very appreciative at that time. So, anyway, but that was at your house.
Yeah.
You probably don't remember that.
I don't. I probably was going in the house.
You were going in the house. Yeah. You didn't see the blue lights out there.
Yeah, trying to make a sandwich and eat a bag of Doritos. Probably.
Probably so. But I've taken him home many times from McDowell. Great family.
Thank you.
Yeah, you do have. And your mom's still working?
County clerk's office.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, she's been down there forever.
For a long time.
Long time. So Friday night, 22nd, as we've been saying for the last 2 or 3 weeks, where are you going to be? Because if you're not at Lindsey Nelson Stadium, you ain't with the in crowd.
You're missing out.
That's where all the cool kids will be, right?
That's right. Yeah. And all the cool PA announcers and spotters.
So, Chris, you're the new athletic director for Maury County Schools. Tell us a little bit about that role.
Man, it's an ever-evolving position, I would say. Very rewarding. I combine, 2 passions, 2 loves. One is working with young people, and then the other is athletics. And so right now, my goal, my thought process, my visionary trajectory is really just kind of getting in the boat with everybody and rowing in the same direction and just kind of figuring out what the needs are, and how can we elevate Maury County Public School athletics and band in this district. And so I just really been inundated with a ton of information from everybody on what we can do, how we can do it, and how can we take it to a new direction. I mean, we have our challenges, because athletics and band are sports that aren't traditionally funded by the district. Now we pay for coaching and band director supplements, but for the most part, all teams and all bands are out there beating the pavement trying to raise money, which in itself poses challenges because, if you hit roadblocks or sticking places of raising money, then you then have to put the cost of the program on the backs of the kids and the parents. And I'm not a huge fan of that. I know we got to do what we got to do, but we limit the scope at times. We limit the opportunities at times for doing that. And if our goal, our vision, which is Maury County Public Schools' vision, is educating every kid for life or every child for life, then the greatest incubator for that is athletics and band. Think about it. Where else, in a school setting can you learn about defeat? Where else in a school setting can you learn about, what happens when you sit on the bench, and don't get to play? How do you handle a loss? What happens when you get kicked in your mouth, at Summit and you take a strong L? How are you going to bounce back from that in life? What happens when you lose the winning spot or position on the job? What happens when it's 105 degrees on the parking lot asphalt and you got to go out there for band camp and not miss a beat? What happens when you got to perform your best at the state? So all of these things, these incubators create these life lessons. I mean, playing sports growing up and all of the things that I did throughout my entire life, I pull most often from my experiences in athletics, from how do I handle being injured? How do I handle sitting on the bench? How do I handle a coach that I really didn't care for too much? but I still had to go out there and perform.
That was after you left here, right?
No, yeah, me and Coach Pickle are good. Me and Coach Pickle are good. Yeah, me and Coach Pickle always be good. Him and Coach Crawford were there when I was there. We'll always be good. But how do you handle that? How do you handle those experiences? And athletics and band truly create that incubator for that. So we're currently getting ready to October 14th, we will start our strategic planning process with all the coaches and the athletic directors. Have a facilitator that's going to do that, and we're excited about what that process is going to produce. The board is fully supportive of that, the school board, the leadership is. And so now we're able to head into a direction that we've never been in the existence of Maury County Public Schools, which is exciting, which is unique, and I'm just excited to be a part of it.
The one thing I want to do right here, right now, is point out the fact that the hours that are put in by both football teams and band are incredible. Yeah. I mean, if you paid per hour everybody who worked these things, you couldn't afford it.
And that's another example. So just look at it from a calculated standpoint, from a business economic standpoint, right? So if you're working on a job, you work until the job gets done, especially if you're a salary employee, you work till the job gets done. Ain't no ands, ifs, or buts about it. Ain't no comp time, ain't no overtime. You just get it done. And that's what the coaches do every day. They take the job home with them. They take it to school with them. Band directors as well. I mean, we were having a band meeting. They were like, "Oh, we're not gonna get done until 7 or 8 o'clock." I was like, "Man, this reminds me of playing ball in college when we didn't get out of practice this long." But that's the environment. That's the time, the energy, and effort that's put into it. And you have coaches right now. There's a direct correlation right now in our district between the coaches who put that amount of time and energy and effort into it and the win and loss column. It ain't about wins and losses, but you can tell. And you can just go around, and Maurice, you've been out here covering for, and you've been doing this thing forever, and Ty and all of you guys, and there's a direct correlation between the level of success of a program and the amount of time, energy, and effort put in by a coach. And so that's the standard we're trying to set.
The one thing about it, too, and I'll point out, Eddie Bobo has been sitting in the press box for 23 years.
That's all the history in the world right there.
Either as a broadcaster between 2009 and 2010 or sitting there as a spotter for the rest of the years he's been up there. I cannot do what I do without him.
Awesome.
Because, as I've said this many times, Stevie Wonder could do my job because all he does is feed me the information. I just repeat it back.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate, very lucky to have this man sitting here as my right-hand guy. And I don't go anywhere without him, and he didn't go anywhere without me. That's just the way we work.
Package deal.
Yeah, it is a package deal.
Hey, Chris, as Ty said, you're the new. I don't know how new it is at this point, but the athletic director for Maury County Schools.
Still on milk.
I was fortunate enough to be able to work for 3 years at the paper in Franklin, which is where I'm from, and cover my alma mater. I would think that to be able to work so closely with the school, that you went to, the program that you played in, kind of raises the ante for you a little bit in this role?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, everything that I do and everything that I approach it with 100%. You know, my grandfather and my father as well just taught me a lot of life lessons about how you approach things, how you give it your all. My grandfather's a janitor, or had his own janitorial business, and I started working when I was 12. And I just learned a lot from being on my hands and knees and scrubbing, and what it requires, the level of effort and what it takes to birth something from nothing. And so, you know, the ante is, you know, is already amped. You know, I do have to, the toughest part is also making sure you remain neutral. You know, obviously bleeding that purple and gold and graduating from Central in 2000 and being a part of a very, very successful baseball team for several years there, which helped launch me on to Austin Peay. But I want to see that same type of magic happen in all the districts. So, you know, rising tide lifts all boats. And if we can get that same magic across the entire district, the entire county, then every kid will have the benefit of being a part of something special. And, you know, I don't know how I would have, you know, turned out if my only experience or my only opportunity would have been, and this is no knock against like a community like a Culleoka, but just to be down there and not necessarily have the same opportunities and the same experiences, the same quality of ball field, the teams, the travel, you know, all of that, and would have missed a lot of the stuff that I missed at Central. I would have felt slighted. And so my thing is to try to give every kid that quality experience and opportunity of playing this great game. Because believe it or not, you know, Friday night, that's going to be some kids' Super Bowl. You know, that's going to be some kids' greatest memory of ever playing sports is under their lights, whether they're the one that's passing out the water or the one that's scoring the touchdown. Because for a lot of kids, this is going to be it.
But we do want to point out we do have a co-op program to where those kids from Culleoka can come and play at Columbia or go to play at Spring Hill.
Yep.
So they're not, as far as having a program itself, no, but they can co-op and play football or baseball or whatever they need.
Yeah, they have a baseball team down there in some of the communities. But they do, if they do not have that program, you're absolutely correct. They can co-op.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
In fact, I think Mount Pleasant's got a kid from Hampshire.
Yep, because that's the school that's within closest proximity.
That's their co-op partner, I guess.
Right, and Spring Hill used to have, I don't know if they still do or not, but they used to have a couple of boys from Santa Fe.
And Central had a pretty good quarterback from Culleoka not long ago. Is that correct?
Well, we had a couple of good defensive players that came from Culleoka. Okay. And, I mean, they were outstanding. Yeah. Outstanding.
And one of the challenges you face with that is you probably could get more kids if there was transportation.
Right.
You know, just the travel itself is a challenge.
It is.
And so we got to work through that. We got to figure out how we make that happen.
And just that 12 or 15 miles is almost impossible for them.
Yeah, especially if a parent is at work and they can't get anybody to
That's
get
right.
them there.
Yeah, and that time of day.
When school lets out, you know.
Well, it's coming up this Friday night, 22nd of September. It's going to be the big Parks Motor Sales Backyard Bowl with the Mayor's Cup. Do we know what the Mayor's Cup looks like?
I do. I do have pictures. It is tall. It is big. It is heavy. We just put it there.
And it will be on display in the back of a Parks Motor Sales pickup truck, I'm sure.
Yeah, you will not be able to pick this thing up with one hand. I assure you.
So it was going to take some football boys to lift that thing up.
Probably go take two.
Well, you'll need a Parks Motor Sales truck to carry it then, is it?
Yeah, I got to figure out how I'm going to get it over here because Daniel Pollard and it's an interesting story because this trophy had to be constructed through multiple ideas, and the legend Steve Johnson was called in to fix it and put it together.
Oh, now, whoa. Hang on just a second. You using the word legend Steve Johnson.
You got to call him a legend. He doesn't work out there anymore. So when he shows up.
Well, I know, but I mean, come on. I know Steve. I know Cindy. I know him real well. He's not a legend. He hasn't received legend yet.
I got to call him. I just call him legend. So in case he's listening,
the legendary.
The legendary. Yeah, legendary. That give me a couple of extra points with him when I see him again. But I mean, it's heavy, man. It is heavy. It's a nice trophy. It looks great. It works perfect for traveling trophy.
Yeah.
You can leave it outside your trophy case, and nobody can just snatch it and run with it very easily. You might tell, pull a hernia or something trying to take out. Now I'm serious. It's that stout.
Wow.
And so, because I grabbed it, and me and Ty and the whole CrossFit, we fear. I mean, we picking up telephone poles and everything else, and so, so I grabbed the trophy, and I get ready to throw it up, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is serious. So it takes two hands just to hold it up, and hold it, and you ain't gonna hold it up long. You'll sit it back down and catch your breath. So
you had to kind of re-grip it then. First time.
You got to re-grip. I was like, whoa, this is not what I expected. So it's nice, really, really nice trophy. Big thank you to Jones and Lane on really kind of putting that vision together, and just really excited about it, the whole event. And then we also will announce offensive and defensive players of the game.
Okay. So
they got a nice trophy plaque set scenario that they will receive as a result. Just nice memory that they can always hang up and look at and recall as a, because you never know. I mean, you watch how many playoff games in your life, and it's not always the person you expect to be offensive or defensive or MVP of the game. So it's never not always the person you expect, and I think some magic will happen with that as well.
All right, good deal. So that's Friday night, 7 o'clock. Don't miss it. Tailgate gets underway at 4:30, sponsored by Coca-Cola. It'll run until 6:45, and then the game starts at 7:06.
Yes, sir. You got it down pat.
It ain't my first rodeo.
Yeah.
It really isn't. Yeah. By the way, I want to bring this up, Maurice. You mentioned the other day. You mentioned on a post on Facebook that people need to know the difference between canceled and postponed. Now,
now hold up. Did I make a mistake in adding
No.
No.
What I'm saying is, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
There is a huge difference in being canceled and being postponed.
Absolutely.
Being postponed means you are going to play that game at some point.
Right.
Being canceled means it's done.
It's done. Yeah.
But a whole lot of, I don't care if you're looking at ESPN or you're looking at CBS News or CBS Sports or whatever, they do not know the difference between canceled
until
postponed.
Yeah. What's that? Yeah, this came up, I guess, back during the rain weekend that we had a couple weeks ago, and you're hearing about games being canceled until Saturday, and it just makes my eyes roll right out of my head.
Well, it's like first annual for me.
Yeah.
That bugs me. And always has since I was
in
not
annual
news.
until at least there's two.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Hey, we've got a culprit over here.
I know we are.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. He's responsible for that.
But that's okay though.
But that's okay.
It's ambitious.
This is a learning moment.
Thank you.
He's planning on there being a bunch of them.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So school me, please.
All right, let's switch gears for a moment. Let's talk about that incredibly fun game between the Florida Gators and the University of Tennessee on Saturday.
Oh, my God.
Well, let's back up before we get to that.
Okay.
Maurice and I remember a conversation we had on the air back probably May. I don't remember, but we were talking Tennessee football, and I told you that 8-4 was not acceptable for me, as it wasn't for most Vol fans. But you and I agreed that 8-4 would be a good year for Butch Jones, and today I really say 8-4 would be a good year. I don't see it happening, but Saturday's performance against the Gators really disappointed me, and I think it put Vol fans into overdrive on their expectations for Butch Jones, not only this year but the future at Tennessee. And I'm interested to hear your comments as we start.
The future at Tennessee for Butch Jones may be this year at this point. I mean, I think, and unfortunately, I didn't get to see the ball game, but
you didn't miss it.
It was ugly. It was ugly.
It sounds like to me that the better team didn't win the ball game, and I think that's the biggest concern for UT fans probably, is that the better team didn't win the ball game, and there were some miscues on the sideline. I mean, specifically first and goal at the one, and not a one running play.
And Kelly has been dominating.
Kelly's been dominating all day long. I mean, if you don't trust Kelly and your offensive line to get 1 yard in that situation,
if you can't put
you probably need to pack it up and come on home. But
I agree.
That's and I think the worst part of that for Butch is that this isn't the first time that you've seen that type thing.
He's had bonehead plays like it.
Well, he's blown the big game. I mean, the Oklahoma game stands out as the first one.
Right.
Blow a big lead.
And, you know, the fact that he's not necessarily learning from Oklahoma, learning from Florida from a few years back, that kind of thing. But I think sometimes coaches tend to make things harder than they have to be. First and goal at the 1. Yeah. And I've got number 4 back there running the way he runs.
Right.
And he's done it all day long.
Ty and I have discussed before that when they first announced Butch Jones was going to be the head coach, well, I knew was going to get a good recruiter because the man recruited well at Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. And he can do a little bit of motivation. But that's where it ends. He cannot win the big game. That's been proven. You know, on a consistent basis, I'll put it that way. And, you know, some of the assistant coachings, you know, leave a lot to be desired also.
But he did make some coaching changes, remember?
Yeah, he made some coaching changes, but, you know, but how do you allow a guy to get past you on a long pass at the very end of the game? You know.
Of course, I think we had many missed opportunities from field goals, and we lost Alabama
we missed
2 years ago from 3 missed field goals.
Right.
So.
We missed 3 field goals. We missed when we had it first and goal at the 1 yard line and throw 3 passes and get it intercepted. That was a blown time. And then another time in the red zone, we had a turnover. I think it was another interception.
Well, let's not forget about the pick 6.
And, you know, so it was just if you looked at it purely on the statistics,
mm-hmm.
Tennessee won everything except for the score. And,
I would be interested as a coach, you know, what does the pregame scenario practice day looks like preparation wise,
right?
Because when it's go time, and obviously in football there are a lot of moving pieces, and you have to, you know, put all your pieces to the puzzle, you know. But what is very interesting is that level of preparation those kids have, and those young men when it's game time, when it's like go time. And I would be interested because for me, a telltale sign for a great coach is like what happens before the game. Like what happens the pregame time, right? Because you got a kid that misses 3 field goals, right? Can't kick a field goal. And I'm not defending Butch Jones one way or the other, but then also on a passing play, as a defensive player, you know, that gets beat deep, you know, was there an education process pregame? Did we talk about this in practice? Did we talk about, did we go over these scenarios? Mm-hmm. Was the team prepared enough to kind of handle these moments, right? And where is my curiosity is really where is the disconnect from a player? Because as a player standpoint, you have to have a certain level of pride. You know, everybody knows that Alabama is the most prepared team coming into a game more times than none when they playing against an opponent. And that's the stuff that happens that nobody sees. That level of preparation, and it manifests itself on the field. So I'm curious about that Butch Jones and what's happening pregame. What is his relationship with the players? How is he able to garner and pull out what's necessary from those players so that it shows itself up? You know, a kicker misses a field goal. Have I been prepared enough? Have I been trained enough? Have I been put in the fire enough to bounce back after I missed the first one?
Well, it's also been proven too that I say proven. I can't say that, but I have seen reports where it says that Butch tells the players one thing, and then on game day, it's different. Well, now, that will get into the psyche of a kid in a heartbeat. If you promised him you're going to go in and he never goes in, then that is going to affect the team.
Well, there's no doubt about it that the chemistry that the Alabama Crimson Tide has compared to the chemistry that Tennessee had on the sideline from the Georgia Tech game to now is totally different.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
I'd agree, and I think I know specifically what you're referring to as far as the Georgia Tech game. There were visibly some
Disconnect.
chemistry issues and disconnects. Yeah. Now, as far as Saturday and the field goal situations, you got to realize that one of those misses was by a freshman who this time a year ago was kicking up in Arrington. Did he miss two?
He missed two.
Well, he hit the 51-yarder.
He hit the 51-yarder to start with. Then he missed his second, which was a 47-yarder. Then they put Medley in on the next field goal attempt.
Who should have nailed it.
And he missed it.
He's a senior kicker.
And then, so when
From
they got
Marshall
down
Run.
to try another one, they put
Smaglia.
put him back in there again. And you know, the first one started out, it looked good, and then all of a sudden it just
took off,
hooked to the left.
A whole lot like my golf swing.
His second miss, it just never turned. It just stayed to the
out
right
there.
the whole way.
Yep.
And you know,
But I mean, unfortunately, you're going to run into that from time to time with a freshman. And you know, the 51-yarder that he hit, that was his first attempt. I mean, you run a true freshman out there in the swamp from 51 yards out.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's not a that's a pressure cooker right there.
Yeah, I mean, I played baseball in the swamp, and it is when the swamp is turned on and the chomp starts going, it is electrifying. I mean, we played baseball. We actually beat them. They were number 3 in the country at the time, and we played them in a 2 or 3 game set. But we did beat them. We beat them the very first game against their number 1 pitcher on the hill at the time. But when those lights are flashing and that gator chomp is going, I mean, the dugouts were rattling. And I was like, where are we? That's exactly what I remember saying. Like, where are we? Because, I mean, it was that loud. It was, like, amplified in the dugout. The fans were standing up and everything was rattling and shaking. So I couldn't even imagine what it would be multiplied in the football stadium with all of those fans and it rattling and it being amplified like that. And I got to try to kick a field goal,
So
my first one.
Maurice, where do we go from here? Where do you see the Vols? I think Vanderbilt will be a tough game.
I think every SEC game at this point is going to be a tough game because, I mean, Kentucky, South Carolina.
Kentucky's playing lights out right now. You know, they beat South Carolina Saturday.
I mean, I just don't know that there's an easy SEC game out there for them right now. Maybe Missouri.
Yeah, you think 8-4? Can he make 8-4?
It's going to be tough.
I meant to look at their schedule earlier today because I was having a similar conversation with somebody else, you know, and I saw a column. Somebody said, you know, let's not let one loss become 2. Let's get UMass and take care of them. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, are we concerned about UMass now? Is that where we're at?
Well, it depends on the psyche of the players after that loss Saturday. You know, they gotta quickly put that behind them and get back to work. And you know, and not only the players but the coaching staff themselves. They got to, you know, use that loss as a learning experience and to try to teach from it. But, you know.
One thing Philip Former could do if they lost to Florida or a couple of games early, he could always rebound that season. And Tennessee could finish 10-2 or 9-3. I really believe, if you look back at his career at UT, he could, and Majors did that well too, but he could lose a couple of games close and save the season and go to a major bowl. I think that's where Butch Jones is going to be evaluated. Can he win some big games going down the stretch and save the season? If he can, he gets another year. If he can't, I don't think Tennessee will be patient. I think they'll make a decision.
But I'm like Maurice. I don't think there's anything left but UMass on the schedule that he can win. It's going to get tough.
Missouri is they're probably the worst team in the SEC.
Missouri
so
hadn't won a game yet. So,
but now Vanderbilt. I attended that game last year in Nashville, and it was the defense looked just as bad this year as it did at the end of last year at that game. I mean, everybody in this room could have ran through the holes created by the offensive line.
They didn't beat us with the run; they beat us with the pass last year, and you know.
But they did run the football well.
They did run it well, but that isn't the thing that beat us. It is, you know, them deep passes that
But Vandy's got a good quarterback this year.
Yes, he does. Same one they had last year.
Yeah, he's back. He's a good quarterback, and
they're playing with a lot of confidence right now.
Oh, yes, they are. Yes, they are.
I'm a believer in Derek Mason. I think he's a good coach. I think he.
Well, when he first was hired, I had my doubts.
But it's hard to compare him to James Franklin.
Right.
You know,
well,
it's kind of
but
like
then
Bruce
again-
Pearl
but then
coming
again, you
with
know,
Conzo Martin. I mean, it was tough, and Conzo took him to the Sweet 16 in
Right.
basketball. So.
Yeah.
right.
I like
Yeah.
Derek Mason a lot.
I do
I
too.
like
Well,
him a lot.
I like him. I liked him as a player.
Kind of wish he was coaching D at Tennessee.
I think he really mishandled the quarterback situation the first year
The
at
first year,
Vanderbilt,
when
and
he
I
played
think
all
that,
three in that one game.
and I think that created a lot of doubt.
Right.
But at the same time, I think you have to realize this was a defensive guy who suddenly is over everything.
Right.
And I think he would probably tell you at this point, yeah, I mishandled that badly, but I learned from it.
But then he stepped up and said, "I'm going to start taking over the D, and it's my defense."
Mm-hmm.
And you see what you got now.
They're locked down.
They're anchoring down.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yes,
I mean, he had the biggest smile on his face after when they were interviewing him after that Kansas State game.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen a guy smile like that in years. And he was tickled. Somebody asked him, "So what about Alabama?" He said, "I ain't worried about Alabama right now. I'm just going to enjoy this."
Let me
Well,
enjoy
he
it.
did.
Yeah, he did.
He said, I got
Till
to midnight,
midnight tonight.
and then
yeah.
after midnight, he said, I'll start thinking about Alabama.
The thing about Derek Mason that I like is if you've had a chance to be around him, he's genuine.
Yeah.
And he's a real
He's got class too.
He's
Really
a
good
good dude.
Really
Good guy.
good dude. Really good, man.
And I think that's why the kids play the way they play for him, because they feel like he's got their back and they've got his back.
Yeah, he's
And
a player's coach with that old school mentality, which
Mm-hmm.
is a perfect combination for as a player, that you as a player that really wants to be pushed, but you also have somebody can have fun with you that's approachable, but that's gonna pull every ounce out of you, and that's Derek Mason all the way.
I think there's a saying, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I think Mason really fits that with that program. I think they know that he cares, and because of that, they'll run through a wall for him, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dan, I think I'm going to have to go listen to what Coach Majors told us last week. He said his dad taught him that there was 3 things that you don't ever do, and he told what the first 2 was, and he said, and the last one is you don't ever bet on Tennessee.
I hate that I missed last week. I was trying to
too.
get here, but what did Coach Majors have to say about UT Florida going in?
He did
He said
not.
it's unpredictable.
He said it was well.
There you go.
Well,
He said you don't know who's going to show up.
yeah.
You know.
He said if Tennessee showed up, which they obviously played the game, but I mean, there again, he said you don't bet on Tennessee. He had a lot of things to say, and I do want to take this opportunity to thank Coach Majors and to thank Dean Dickey, our mayor, for putting that interview together. You would have enjoyed
And Ty
it.
the driver.
Yeah, and Ty the driver.
I did drive him around all day. We're going to do it again, too.
But the funny,
I bet that was fun.
Yeah.
well, the funny thing about it was we said we were going to keep the interview to about 15 minutes. He took it to 25.
Yeah, he did. He went
Yeah.
way past what we first thought, and
He told some funny
he's sharp.
stories.
Yeah, he
And
did.
he is still sharp,
Mm-hmm.
and he doesn't forget.
No.
he doesn't
No.
forget.
No, he don't.
No.
I bet he
Now
doesn't.
the funny thing about an interview with Johnny Majors is that you're going down the road, and then suddenly squirrel, and then you go off the road, but he comes back around in about a couple of minutes and says, "Oh yeah, we were talking about such and such." He doesn't forget.
He doesn't.
He's a great interview. I love the guy.
Yeah.
He was really, really fun.
But
to
now
talk to.
he beat Vanderbilt. So
Yeah.
here's where I'm going with this.
Okay.
Regardless of what happens over the next 4 or 5 weeks, if Butch Jones loses to Vanderbilt
Yeah.
In Knoxville.
in Knoxville
Ooh.
2 years in a row,
Ooh.
I think that puts his job in jeopardy.
That's the nail. Right there.
I think it is. I think that is a big game for him. All these games are big.
That's the nail.
But if he just kind of has, 500 going into Vanderbilt and loses,
I think
that's
But
that's
I
gonna
think
get
the
him.
carpenter started pulling the wood out of the out of the racks to build that coffin Saturday. You know, the nails haven't gone in yet, but I think they're starting to measure.
Now,
They're gluing some
if I'm
boards
not
together.
mistaken, Maurice would probably know this. His contract under then athletic director Dave Hart was extended through the 2020 season.
Well, not Dave Hart's null and void.
But the contract isn't.
You still have to pay
Yeah,
the man
you do.
millions
Right.
of dollars.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how long his contract is, but the buyout is $12 million.
Okay.
Wow.
Because I saw a tweet here over the last couple of days. His buyout is $12 million. If you've got 102, 455 that Neyland Stadium seats, that's $117 per person.
Yeah. I saw
Somebody put that out.
Yeah, $117 per person.
here's-
we can buy
here's
them
the
out
thing.
right now. Yeah, you're right.
So-
$117.
here's
They'll
the
be
thing.
taking money up at the
Right.
entrance.
Here's another thing.
I got
though,
news for
Maurice.
you, gentlemen. If you give me $12 million, I'm going to the
Yeah,
house.
and I'll be happy.
Yeah, be happy to go.
Done. I'm putting my feet up
Here's the-
somewhere.
here's the thing about all that. There's some deep pockets up there.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, it wouldn't take but
Few
two,
phone
three or
calls.
four phone calls.
2 or 3 guys to write a check, and the man would be out if they want him out. I mean, you know,
That kind of what you said reminds me of Nolan Richardson toward
Yes.
the end at Arkansas.
Yes.
They pay me my money. They can have this job tomorrow for $12 million.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't know that Butch wants to walk in and say that though.
But that
Or
would
like
be
that
about
movie,
right. He's
Show Me
right
the
at about
Money.
$4 million a year, probably before some incentives. So 4-8-12, that would be about right through 2020.
Yeah.
So
Well, he gets the cut of the Butch Jones show that they do
Right.
with Bob
And I
Kessler.
wasn't
He
counting
gets-
that.
And all that kind of stuff. You know, by the time you said the incentive packages and everything else that he has,
Yeah.
which right now I didn't see any incentive on Saturday, but I mean, you know, by the time you figure all that stuff in, it could, you know, it very well is $12 million. So
it's going to get
what if there's
interesting.
a lot of fine print in that contract to where they can withhold certain things for certain aspects, you know.
I
don't-
would say
we don't
at
know.
that time, athletic director Hart took care of it because he
oh
hired.
yeah.
So what do they do to turn it around? So what do they got to do to turn it around?
Win.
That's it.
Beyond
Win the big game.
And I think Dormandy's got I think he's really improved. I think he's got to connect more on his passes. He's still throwing
Well,
high.
he's still throwing into a lot
I thought
of,
he would show out
well,
Saturday.
when you throw into
He did with the other
triple
team.
and
Second half.
quadruple coverage, you know,
Yeah.
you're asking for trouble. And, you know,
All he's got to do is throw it in the direction
if
of Callaway
If he
and he'll
looks
catch
down
it.
there and he sees one white shirt and 4 blue shirts, something more to say, hey, somebody's got to be open,
Unless that's Callaway, he'll catch it.
you know.
And that's a big thing too, because I think when you've got a quarterback and you've got a young quarterback or an inexperienced quarterback, it becomes more incumbent on your receivers to make a play for that guy. And that's kind of what I was screaming during the Georgia Tech game early on. You know, when you've got a quarterback that's struggling, you can't have drops
Right.
when he does get it to
when,
you.
when
You-
he does
I
put the
agree.
ball, when he does put the ball on the mark,
You gotta
need to
catch it.
the
And
ball.
they did not catch it in that Georgia Tech game.
Yeah, certainly not in the
Well,
first half.
well,
They
had
didn't
some
help him a
drops
whole
in
lot.
in the Florida
Had a
game.
lot of drops.
You know,
True.
All right, let's switch gears here for a second and finally realize that the Tennessee Titans have got a running game, and they've got number 22 that they can turn on anytime they need him.
You know, it's interesting. I read, I'm on Twitter a lot, but I think it was Joe Rexrode with the Tennessean that said that he hasn't really seen DeMarco Murray since that second Jacksonville game from last year. And as you watch DeMarco, I still don't think he's running as authoritatively as he was early last year. And obviously with them kind of coming out Monday and saying that hamstring, he re-aggravated it in Sunday's game. He's running a little tentative, it looks like. And Henry is attacking the hole. And
well, Malarkey said that Henry's going to start getting more playing time.
yeah, so
But I think DeMarco still got it. I think.
I think if he's healthy,
Yeah, if he's healthy, he's a smooth running back. But I do like Derrick Henry.
and if he's healthy,
You got to have both.
I think it's going to take both of them before the year's over with.
You can't beat a big LeBron James type size individual in the backfield that you can hand it off to. I mean, you can't.
That's true.
I mean, you can't. Yeah, I mean.
I mean, just the guy sitting on the sidelines, and you see his guns he's got when he's just sitting there. I'm like, man, this guy's he's just muscle.
You don't want to go up. You don't want to go head to head with that running downhill.
No.
way.
You'll end up on your back.
Yeah, when he turns it upfield.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we
He reminds me of Zonka in the past with Miami, just giving the ball. He's going to get you the yards.
He looks a lot
So
like
is
Eddie
Marshawn
George
Lynch.
in that Titans blue too. I
Yeah.
mean, he's a big guy and
but he doesn't stand up and run the way that George used
no,
to.
he's not as high. He's
got a
got
young-
good body lean.
We got a young man from Columbia that played at Vanderbilt that remembers all too well what Herschel Walker can do to you.
Yeah, Manuel Young was sitting down.
Yeah.
It was Herschel, Manuel in the end zone. Somebody got the win.
and Manuel lost.
And Manuel to the end
Manuel
zone.
lost.
Manuel took a strong L on that.
Well, I've seen Manuel. I've seen Manuel up close. I've seen Herschel up close, and
No contest.
yeah, that's kind of. Manuel's a great dude, but that one probably kind of predictable at the time. you
Boy,
know?
Herschel still got it to this day. He's still
He's
athletic
still
and
good.
built.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Said he could play. He felt like about 2 years ago he could still play
he
in
said,
NFL.
Yeah, he said that. I
At
remember
50.
that comment. At
Wow.
50. Yeah,
I
that's
wouldn't
crazy.
argue with him though.
I wouldn't either. He's one of the greatest athletes that's been on the football field.
Well,
I
other than
remember-
Bo Jackson.
I remember
Bo
when
Jackson.
Earl Campbell played, and he played for Texas. And they were down near the goal line. They handed him the ball. He went right through. Nobody touched him. And he hit the longhorn steer head to head. The steer went to the ground. And somebody asked him when he was playing pro football, why not try to run around some of these people? He said, shortest distance between two lines is a straight line.
There you go. There you go. Earl wasn't shaking a whole lot of folks off.
No.
Do you think that maybe the Titans faithful are looking for a Steve McNair, and they haven't had anyone compared to that since then as their quarterback?
Steve McNairs are hard to come by.
Yeah.
And I think as you get farther and farther from him, I think you realize more and more just how hard Steve McNairs are to come by.
But then
because
also you realize how hard he played
And he played hurt.
and played hurt a lot.
It's
And-
tougher than a $2 steak.
Oh yeah.
And the thing about it, he had such deceptive speed when he did
Right.
run the ball because he just looked like he was gliding, and next thing you know,
He was by you.
He was
Yeah.
20, 25 yards down the field, Yeah.
I mean, I think just Titans fans in general are just looking for something electrifying on the field. Something they can be excited about going out there and seeing game after game. Something they can talk about on Monday and not complain about, but just kind of something electrifying that they can see to kind of give them that spark in the game. And they want owners who are not going to be, afraid to go out and get those players as well as coaches to put in those plays so that there's some kind of rally around that.
And I think they want to see consistency.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, what they did in the second half Sunday was pretty phenomenal,
Right.
especially after what they did in the first half Sunday.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Oh yeah.
and
Kinda
I
sunk
still
Thursday.
think this team kicks too many field goals.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the Jeff Fisher days.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I thought Jay Cutler, speaking of the Miami Dolphins, one of my favorite teams, thought he had a good showing out against the Chargers. They won on last second field goal. I mean, to only be there about 4 weeks.
That's pretty impressive to come in
$10 million
in that period of time. Yeah. $10 million for 4 months. Sign me up.
Hey, I will go play for the Dolphins if you pay me that kind of money.
Yeah.
And I'm 63 years old and can't move a muscle.
But
Which is why you
speaking of
won't
that-
go play for the Dolphins.
Speaking of that game, the Charger fans, I think there were more Miami Dolphin fans
It looked it.
in the stadium.
Yeah.
And also, the ticket prices were high. Plus, they were charged $100 to park.
Woo, I did hear
Wow.
that.
Yes.
They're in a
Wow.
different venue, so-
$100 to park. They had that on the internet.
no
this
way.
Which Philip Rivers is from just right down the interstate at Athens, Alabama.
Mhm.
So
Right.
he played at Athens.
All right, guys, we are done for the All the Ball Sports Show for this Tuesday night. Let's do it one more time. Friday night, 7 o'clock, 06 will be
o'clock,
kickoff. The Coca-Cola tailgate starts at 4:30, runs to 6:45. Parking by the Kiwanis. We'll have the Chick-fil-A halftime show, Parks Motor Sales, Backyard Bowl with the Mayor's Cup that nobody can lift up and steal.
I think you got it all.
But we're preparing to come to Columbia City Hall, by the
Funnel
way.
cakes.
We're making room for it.
And
you
fun-
really?
and funnel cakes.
And funnel cakes and snow cones.
There's some barbecue too, is there not?
Yeah, man, the barbecue's going to be, I mean, we got brisket, pulled pork, Polish sausage, hot dogs, chicken wings.
Oh, man.
I'm sure I'm leaving something out.
And funnel cakes.
And funnel cakes. My mom asked me yesterday. she's
Send
like,
some of that to the press
my mom was
box.
like,
That's
what,
right.
my mom was like, what kind of sides y'all gonna have? Sides? Sides?
We're
It's only so much you can, it's only so
There we
much,
go.
Exactly. There's only so much you can put in a banana boat. Yeah. Yeah, so-
Well, all right, guys. For Eddie Bobo and Ty Cobb and Chris Poynter and for Maurice Patton, also known as Mostradamus.
Mostradamus.
Check it out Sunday
So
in
who's
the
gonna
Daily
win the
Herald.
game? Who's gonna win the game?
Yeah, you got to see Friday. We'll have it in
Oh,
Friday's paper.
There's
okay.
you a tease.
Oh yeah, gotta pick it up and read it. Yeah.
There we
Right.
go.
Have a good night, everybody.
All right.